glass towers catching the desert sun, marble corridors stretching endlessly, lined with names that have shaped global wealth for generations. Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Hermes, Cartier. This is Dubai, a city that didn't merely attract luxury, it became luxury, a place where shopping isn't a transaction, it's theater, where malls aren't buildings, they are declarations of power. For more than 2 decades, Dubai built one of the most aggressive economic illusions in modern history. A desert transformed into the global capital of aspiration, engineered to pull in millionaires, tourists, and the world's most powerful brands. Then, on February 28, 2026, it all changed. The numbers heading into 2025 seemed almost too good to be true. According to Henley and Partners, more than 81,000 millionaires called Dubai home, a figure that had more than doubled since 2014. In 2025 alone, nearly 9,800 wealthy individuals relocated to the city, injecting an estimated $63 billion in fresh capital. No other metropolitan area on Earth came close to that pace. The luxury sector responded in kind. While global luxury growth almost flatlined, the Middle East surged between 4 and 6%, and Dubai alone was responsible for nearly 80% of that regional expansion. Flagship stores opened, private exhibitions launched, exclusive Ramadan collections debuted for a clientele that seemed inexhaustible. Brands didn't hesitate. They invested everything because Dubai felt bulletproof. What unfolded on February 28th didn't merely disrupt business operations. It shattered a carefully crafted perception. And in the world of luxury, perception is the entire product. Luxury is not built on necessity, it is built on confidence. And the moment confidence fractures, everything downstream follows. In the hours and days after February 28th, something quietly but unmistakably changed inside Dubai's most iconic retail spaces. The lights stayed on, the air conditioning still hummed, the marble floors still gleamed. But the atmosphere had shifted. Stores that once buzzed with energy began to feel hollow, not empty but fundamentally different, because the customers who truly drove revenue, high-spending international elites, were no longer there. By early March, the transformation became impossible to contain. Some of the world's most powerful luxury houses made decisions that would have been unimaginable just weeks before. They closed, not gradually, not cautiously, but instantly. Entire flagship locations went dark across Dubai, even in the face of warnings about lease violations. The message was unmistakable. Risk had entered a system built entirely on the promise of its absence. Financial markets reacted within days. LVMH shed more than 4.3% in a single trading session. Kering fell around 5%. Richemont dropped a sharp 5.7%. Within weeks, the combined luxury sector had surrendered nearly $100 billion in market value. This wasn't just a Dubai story anymore. This was a global reckoning. The realization that an entire industry's growth strategy had been anchored to a single assumption: that Dubai was immune. Immunity, it turned out, was always an illusion. The most striking thing about this disruption is how invisible it looked at first. Malls remained open, hotels kept operating, tourists still walked the corridors. But luxury doesn't run on foot traffic, it runs on spending power, and spending power had quietly evaporated. In 2025, roughly 60% of luxury spending in the UAE came from international tourists, not average visitors, but high-net-worth individuals willing to drop tens of thousands of dollars in a single shopping session. When they stopped arriving, the damage didn't show up in headcounts. It showed up in revenue. A store can be full and still be losing money. Industry estimates projected that international arrivals to the region could decline between 11 and 27% throughout 2026, potentially wiping out up to $56 billion in tourism spending. That number alone was enough to destabilize the entire ecosystem. And it wasn't just retail. Dubai showrooms reported a 30% drop in luxury car sales as regional tensions disrupted shipping and the handling of bespoke orders. Bentley, Ferrari, Lamborghini, brands that once treated Dubai as their most reliable high-margin market suddenly found themselves in an environment where even the most committed collectors were pausing acquisitions. Even the Burj Al Arab, Dubai's most iconic luxury hotel and one of the most recognized buildings on earth, closed its doors, removing a flagship asset from the market at precisely the worst possible moment. High-spending travelers from the UK, the US, Germany, Saudi Arabia, India, all began rerouting their plans. Real estate cracked too. In the first half of March alone, property transactions fell by roughly 25%. Prime sellers in downtown Dubai and Palm Jumeirah began cutting asking prices by 12 to 15%. Investors shifted to a wait-and-see posture almost overnight. Supply chains slowed. Airspace disruptions hit logistics. Insurance and finance sectors began pricing in higher risk premiums for Gulf exposure. And, perhaps most importantly, consumer psychology shifted. Because once people start asking questions about stability, the entire foundation of luxury spending begins to weaken. Luxury requires a very specific emotional environment. It requires people to feel safe, confident, and optimistic about the future. Remove that environment, and demand doesn't just decrease. It disappears. Here's what most people are missing. The money didn't vanish. It simply moved. While Dubai absorbed the shock, other regions began pulling in the flow. Europe recorded strong tourist seasons. Japan, South Korea, and Southeast Asia saw double-digit growth in international bookings. The global tourism economy didn't collapse. It rebalanced. And that shift is where the real long-term danger lies. Because once consumer behavior changes at scale, it doesn't always reverse. Travelers discover new destinations. They build new habits. They find alternatives that feel easier, safer, or more exciting. And over time, those alternatives become the new default. Dubai's greatest strength was that it became a default destination for luxury. Wealthy travelers didn't consider Dubai. They simply went to Dubai. It required no justification. But when something stops being the default, it becomes a choice, and choices can always be replaced. The Middle East accounts for roughly 5 to 10% of global luxury sales, making it one of the few regions capable of offsetting the slowdown in China and Europe. The global luxury industry needed Dubai to keep working, and that dependence cuts both ways. Now, let's be precise about what this actually means. This is not the death of Dubai. Far from it. The UAE's core systems continue to function without disruption. Banking, logistics, transport, communications, all of it. Zero income tax, free capital movement, fast transaction cycles. Its millionaire population is still growing. These structural advantages haven't disappeared. History actually backs this resilience. Dubai survived the Arab Spring. It recovered from the COVID-19 pandemic. It absorbed the 2008 financial crisis. Every major shock the city has faced has eventually been followed by a comeback. And in several cases, the crisis itself redirected global capital into Dubai rather than away from it. But what February 28th took away is something less visible and far harder to rebuild. Certainty. The version of Dubai that global luxury brands believed in. The version that promised uninterrupted growth, frictionless stability, and total insulation from regional turbulence. That version no longer exists in quite the same form. And for an industry built entirely on the sale of confidence, that is an extraordinarily expensive realization. So the real question now is not whether stores are closing or whether stock prices are recovering. The real question is what happens when a trillion-dollar global industry builds its expansion strategy around a single geography, and that geography suddenly reveals its limits. Because what we're witnessing isn't the fall of a city. It's the recalibration of belief. And in the world of luxury, Belief isn't just important, it is the product. So here's the question I want to leave you with. Do you think Dubai can rebuild that sense of invincibility in the next few years? Or has the global luxury industry already started quietly looking for its next safe haven? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one. And if this kind of deep breakdown is what you're here for, subscribe, because the next video covers something even most economists aren't talking about yet.